Hi everyone. Good Strategy Bad Strategy book summary by Richard Rumelt. Let enjoyed the video. Please subscribing to my channel for more great content like this. You'll be notified when I upload new videos. Summary. Good Strategy Bad Strategy by Richard Rumelt is a comprehensive guide to understanding and developing effective strategies. Here's a summary. The book emphasizes the importance of clear goals, coherent action, and a deep understanding of the competitive landscape. It distinguishes between good strategy and bad strategy, with the former being a coherent set of analyses, concepts, policies, arguments, and actions that respond to a high-stakes challenge. Good strategy is often easy to explain in hindsight. It is grounded in reality, acknowledging the challenges faced, and provides an approach to tackle them. Bad strategy, on the other hand, often goes back to the same four mistakes: fluff, failure to face the challenge, mistaking goals for strategy, and bad strategic objectives. Rumelt breaks down the core of good strategy into three elements. A diagnosis that explains the nature of the challenge, identifying which aspects of the situation are critical. A guiding policy for dealing with the challenge, an overall approach to cope with or overcome the obstacles identified in the diagnosis. A set of coherent actions designed to carry out the guiding policy. Real-life examples from the book include companies like Apple and General Motors, and situations like the two Iraq wars and the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis. For instance, Apple's focus on the Macintosh and McDonald's decision to build playgrounds next to each restaurant are examples of good strategies. On the other hand, the failure of many businesses can often be traced back to bad strategies. In conclusion, Good Strategy Bad Strategy provides valuable insights into the development and implementation of effective strategies. It underscores the importance of clear diagnosis, guiding policies, and coherent actions in crafting good strategies. However, it also warns against the common pitfalls that lead to bad strategies. Introduction: Overwhelming obstacles. Highlighting the importance of good strategy in achieving success. He contrasts good strategy, which focuses on identifying critical challenges and developing coherent and decisive plans to overcome them, with bad strategy, which often relies on generic goals and wishful thinking. The core of strategy work, as Rumelt explains, is discovering the critical factors in a situation and designing a way of coordination and focusing actions to deal with those factors. He emphasizes that good strategy is not about choice/decision, but about design, more constructed than chosen. Most of the work in system design is figuring out the interactions. Strategy is as much what to do as what not to do. Rumelt also points out that because strategy focuses resources, energy, and attention on some objectives rather than others, a change in strategy will make some people worse off, and there will be powerful forces opposed to almost any change in strategy. For example, a department head who faces losing people, funding, headcount, support, etc., as a result of a change in strategy will most likely be opposed to the change. As for real-life examples, consider Apple and General Motors. Both companies have faced overwhelming obstacles in their respective industries. Apple, for instance, was on the verge of bankruptcy in the late 1990s, but managed to turn things around with a good strategy that focused on innovation and customer experience. General Motors, on the other hand, faced significant challenges during the 2008 financial crisis. However, with a coherent strategy that included restructuring its operations and focusing on profitable markets, it managed to overcome these obstacles. Part 1: Good and Bad Strategy. Good strategy is a coherent set of analyses, concepts, policies, arguments, and actions that respond to a high-stakes challenge. It is a plan for action backed up by a cogent argument. The core of a good strategy, which Rumelt calls the kernel, contains three elements: A diagnosis that explains the nature of the challenge, identifying which aspects of the situation are critical. A guiding policy for dealing with the challenge, an overall approach to cope with or overcome the obstacles identified in the diagnosis. A set of coherent actions designed to carry out the guiding policy. Bad strategy, on the other hand, often falls into four common pitfalls. Fluff, failure to face the challenge, mistaking goals for strategy, and bad strategic objectives. It fails to address the core challenges and often equates motivational slogans, financial goals, and buzzwords with strategy. Real-life examples from the book include companies like Apple and General Motors, and situations like the two Iraq wars and the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis. For instance, Apple's focus on innovation and customer experience is an example of a good strategy. On the other hand, the failure of many businesses can often be traced back to bad strategies. In conclusion, it provides a clear distinction between good and bad strategy, emphasizing the need for a coherent and decisive plan to tackle critical challenges. However, it also warns against the common pitfalls that lead to bad strategies. Part 2. Sources of Power. A good strategy is an approach that magnifies the effectiveness of actions by finding and using sources of power. A good strategy draws power from focusing minds, energy, and action. That focus, channeled at the right moment onto a pivotal objective, can produce a cascade of favorable outcomes. I call this source of power leverage. Strategic leverage arises from a mixture of anticipation, insight into what is most pivotal or critical in a situation, and making a concentrated application of effort. The strategist may have insight into predictable aspects of others' behavior that can be turned to advantage. To achieve leverage, the strategist must have insight into a pivot point that will magnify the effects of focused energy and resources. Returns to concentration arise when focusing efforts on fewer, or more limited, objectives generates larger payoffs. These gains flow from combinations of constraints and threshold effects. If resources were not limited, there would be no need to select one objective over another. If rivals could easily see our moves and quickly mobilize responses, we would gain little from concentrating on temporary weaknesses. Rumelt explains that good strategy draws power from several sources, one of which is leverage. Leverage is about using what you have to maximum advantage, and in a strategic context, it often involves using the resources you have in a creative, efficient, and effective way. Another source of power for a good strategy is the creation of new strength through subtle shifts in viewpoints. An insightful reframing of a competitive situation can create whole new patterns of advantage and weakness. The most powerful strategies arise from such game-changing insights. Rumelt also discusses the concept of proximate objectives. These are manageable objectives within reach that are one of a leader's most powerful tools. The more uncertain the future, the more proximate objectives must be. How proximate an objective is depends on the skills and accumulated resources of the organization. For example, IKEA teaches us that in building sustained strategic advantage, talented leaders seek to create constellations of activities that are chain-linked. This adds extra effectiveness to the strategy and makes competitive imitation difficult. Part 3. Thinking like a strategist. Rumelt emphasizes that thinking like a strategist involves taking on the viewpoints of others, seeing how the situation looks to a rival or to a customer. It's about understanding the competitive landscape and the challenges and opportunities it presents. A strategist needs to be able to identify the critical issues in a situation and then focus and concentrate action and resources on them. This requires a deep understanding of the situation, a clear vision of the desired outcome, and the ability to develop a coherent and effective plan to achieve that outcome. Strategists also need to be able to use leverage, where small efforts can lead to significant results. They need to be able to create new strengths through subtle shifts in viewpoints. An insightful reframing of a competitive situation can create whole new patterns of advantage and weakness. For example, Apple CEO Jobs' basic operating principles have become the stuff of legend. Sad face 1. Imagine a product that is insanely great. 2. Assemble a small team of the very best engineers and designers in the world. 3. Make the product visually stunning and easy to use, pouring innovation into the user interface. 4. Tell the world how cool and trendy the product is with innovative advertising. In conclusion, provides a deep understanding of the mindset required to develop effective strategies. It emphasizes the importance of understanding the competitive landscape, identifying critical issues, and developing a coherent and effective plan to tackle these issues.
The end. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and share. See you in next videos.